Thank you for joining me for Terrible Tuesdays, or for that matter, it could be a terrific Tuesday. We're not sure. Hey, this is your host, Mad Morgan, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Soapbox Daily. This is episode 27, and today we're going to discuss, why do people power trip? It's a good question. You see a lot of anger and you see a lot of, protesting, a lot of everything going on when it comes to news and reports and out there in the streets. And people like to power trip. Not everybody does. And it really makes you question their integrity, which brings up the question, hey, how is your integrity today? Are you having a good integrity day so far? Is your week starting off on the right foot? Or are you setting the example to do the best things that you can and be the best person that you can be? Hey, remember, always keep your integrity in check. And also, please check out getoffmysoapbox.com for more information on this show and our long format show of Get Off My Soapbox, which airs on Wednesday evening. In addition, we could use a little bit of support over on Patreon, Get Off My Soapbox. You will find us there. There is a link, of course, on our website of getoffmysoapbox.com. Check it out. Feel free to help out if you can. Always greatly appreciated. We have some tiers there with some perks, something that might just suit your fancy. So let's get into today's show. And this is an interesting show. And like always, some of these topics that we get into, we're going to need to discuss them further. We're just going to touch on it today. Why do people power trip? Now, let's get down to the nitty gritty on this one and call it for what it is. Power hungry leaders or power tripping leaders are bullies. They bully their team members to ensure dominance and to kill potentials that would threaten their sense of power. I mean, honestly, when people power trip, they're just being bullies. Across the board, they're being bullies. They're bullying, intimidating, mind games. Power tripping is not good for anybody. I mean, when it comes down to it, let's go to our next point. I mean, power hungry and power tripping people are definitely empty individuals, not whole individuals. The truth is they have a heightened sense of self, very low self-esteem, and need to constantly feed their ego. It is a constant need for them to deal with, all these insecurities and low self-esteem that they have. They hide deep insecurities. Ego tripping, power tripping individuals are weak-minded and will give anything to fill the inner void. And it might sound like I'm coming down on these people, but it's true. You start stepping into that ring of ego and power tripping and being power hungry, you are missing something in your life that you feel you need to do this. You're feeding off the environment that you're in. You're feeding off the people that are around you. But if it wasn't for that, chances are you would not feel so empowered. So you do have a high level of insecurities. Without the audience, without the others around you, without something to feed off, you don't have that power. You don't have that security. It's sad, but true. And when power hungry leaders definitely have jealousy. They get jealousy because they're not feeding off merit. They're not feeding off anything of their own accomplishments. They're feeding off this environment that they've actually encouraged themselves to be in and feeding off other people. Mob mentality, but they've spearheaded something and they have a backing, but they have no credibility. The ones that actually have merit and have put their time in it and have done the work, they have something to brag about, but they're modest about it. Power hungry ones are coming in because they want the spotlight. Power hungry people have a tendency to think that rank is just enough. I'll tell you one thing from my experience is that you can respect the rank and not necessarily respect the person. You think that your rank or your role in an organization is to command respect, but no, respect has to be earned. So while you're power tripping, keep that in mind. Just because they respect the rank doesn't mean they have to respect the person. And on top of all this, power angry leaders and power people tripping just try to remove anybody that's going to oppose from their position of power because they have the rank or they feel that they have the rank and they believe that status is everything. And they don't look at the credibility. They're dealing with their own insecurities. When all that's taken away, they have nothing to feed on. They're lost. They need to always try to keep that spotlight and they always need to compete with others. But if they don't have enough to fall on, then they're basically boasting on an ego that has no credibility. And look back at the insecurities and the fact that they have nothing to really go on. For them, it's just a matter of this whole, fronting, as I guess the common slang is. They're fronting. They don't have any credibility. They're basically engaging in a moment because they feel they got backing from others behind them, and they want to keep the position of dominance in that particular environment, in that particular situation, and they will get aggressive and they will get mean and they will intimidate people because they want to control everything. They want to, people fear them and respect them, but they want to back off for 1 second. They figure that they're going to lose that position of power. And in turn, it ends up these power hungry people and leaders and power tripping people encourage toxicity because they thrive in chaos, encourage toxic behavior and competition. And they may even gossip and cause false narratives to foster a negative environment to be able to enable them to keep their position. So it's sad when people power trip and they feel that they need to do this to other people for their moment of glory where they feel they are in control. But wanting and having power is not always a negative thing. You just have to want it for the right reasons in order to go the distance. Otherwise, you will just rapidly crash and burn. Power tripping is not good. Work with other people, work as a team, work together. Don't power trip. Collectively, work together and don't look for the spotlight and cause chaos just to feel that fragile ego and insecurities that you have. Power tripping is not good, folks. You know, shelve it, put the ego away. It doesn't going to get you anywhere in the long run, and you're not going to be remembered. That's about it. That's my little speech on that one. I thank you very much for joining me today for this wonderful Tuesday. I'm your host, Matt Morgan. I'm going to wrap it up. Please check out getoffmysoapbox.com for more information on this show and our other podcast of Get Off My Soapbox. Have yourself a marvelous day, and I will see you tomorrow.